for me, as I look at the gospel, and I was a drug addict, drug dealer in Laguna Beach, age 17. I just tried to commit suicide. And I remember saying my first prayer. I was laying on the ground by this highway. I was going to jump in front of a semi-truck. And I said, God help me. So that was my first prayer. 10 days later, I get invited to a meeting. And in that meeting, this pastor said, you ever wonder why you were born? Ever wonder why you're here on earth? You ever wonder where you go when you die? And I'm going, yes, yes, yes. And he said, the answer is found in Jesus Christ. And he said, Christ did for you what you couldn't do for yourself. And he said he died. He loved you so much, he laid down his life. And I had used Christ as a swear word. I had studied a religion class in my junior year of high school. And I said, you mean he's really a historical character? And in my mind, I'm going, he must be. And he said, but it's a gift, and you got to receive it. And that night, February 23rd, 1973, Christ came into my life. And I was sitting in my car overlooking Laguna, and I said, Jesus, if you are who you say that pastor said you are, come into my life. And I wish lights would have gone off. I wish something would have happened.
Set you on fire?
Yeah, exactly. Set you on fire. Fire! And, but, it's so interesting you're asking me this question. Because this hill that I asked Christ in my life, February 23rd, 1973, Christ came in. And 5 years later, I would take my wife to that same hill. And I would say, I told her how much I loved her. And I said, this is where I asked Christ in my life. And I'm asking you to marry me. And she said, no. No, she said yes. And then 12 years later, I took my kids up there. And we have this photo. And it has become a significant place. And really, as I look at our marriage and as Christ intended, marriage, opposite relationships, male, female, female to male, is God's intent to show unity. And much like Christ, brought peace between me and the Father, so God wants peace between the sexes. We are in the greatest war I've ever seen in culture. Men don't trust women, women don't trust men. And there are so many differences, but we let the differences outweigh the unity. And, it's interesting to me because, I look at what is the greatest calling in the Christian life. And Jesus, I used to think, when I was in seminary, I was looking at Matt. He's in graduate school. Did you finish it? Yeah, I remember one of my seminary profs going, what's the greatest calling in the Christian life? And, everybody goes, worship. And he goes, exactly. I remember years later reading Matthew 5. And Jesus said, if you go to the altar of God, and there you remember your brother, your sister has something against you, lay down your offering. In other words, don't give me your tithe. Don't give me your worship. Don't give me your service. I don't want anything from you. Go and make peace. Then come and present your offering. And I was absolutely struck. Is that there is this enmity, this tension between male and female, whether before marriage or after marriage. And I realized, what is marriage when it comes to salvation? What is opposite sex relationship prior to marriage? It is the beauty of the gospel because it brings peace. There is too much enmity. There is too much fighting. There is too much finger pointing between the sexes. And it is time that we cut the rhetoric and that we begin to live out our faith.